Today, the world of women's tennis is centered around WTA rising stars like Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, and Coco Gauff, making hundreds of thousands of dollars off tournaments and endorsement deals. Each one of those talented women chose to embark on a journey of hard work, tireless travel, and strict diet and exercise regimens to reach that level of success. To answer the question how they did it, we have to go a couple of decades back to take a look at the women that paved the way for them. The truth is, women's tennis wasn't always what it is today. Without discrediting the hard work that goes into being a tennis pro, tennis players in 2025 are able to enjoy certain privileges that were not available just 20 years ago. To think that in 2007 Venus Williams became the first recipient of equal prize money to men at Wimbledon after having won 3 previous titles is confusing to say the least. While that was undoubtedly a formative moment in the progression of women's tennis, how far does the story really go? Let's take it back to July of 1877, when the Wimbledon tournament, still among the most prestigious tennis tournaments for both sexes and one of the 4 Grand Slams, began. The tennis society of the time discriminated not only against women, but doubles players too. The inaugural Wimbledon tournament only included a men's single competition. It took multiple years and countless requests until women were finally welcomed on the famous Wimbledon courts in 1884. That year, Maud Watson became the first Wimbledon lady champion. What was undoubtedly a huge step for Miss Watson as a tennis player was an even bigger step for female athleticism all around the world. But there was still almost a century left before the Open era and the founding of the WTA. Let's take it step by step. After Wimbledon allowed women to compete, the US Open followed in 1887, when Ellen Hansel bageled Elle Knight for the title of USO champion in women's singles. The French Open followed in 97, won by Adine Masson, who went on to become a women's singles champion 4 more times. The Olympics let female tennis players take part for the first time in 1900. The Australian Open followed suit 22 years later. What made the Grand Slams different from other tournaments and ultimately defined the Open era was their status as amateur tournaments. Playing for money was considered undignified, so professional players could not compete and, quite frankly, likely had no desire to. Those who did compete did not get financially rewarded. They were compensated for their travel but had to rely on other sources of income, among which were exhibition matches and barnstorming tours, focused on generating an interest in matches and attracting a paying audience. Knowing what we know now about the hard, strenuous work that goes into being a professional tennis player, it's hard to imagine that an amateur would be fit enough to compete on such a high level. Some WTA and ATP players shed light on the situation recently, talking about the near impossibility of breaking even, let alone making money when you're outside of the top 100. With multiple trainings per day, expensive equipment, and private coaching, where would one get the time and money to polish their skills as an amateur? Many arrived at that conclusion back in the 1960s, begging the world of professional tennis for a change. A strong push from amateur players that dedicated their lives to the sport compelled the International Lawn Tennis Federation, or ILTF, to approve 12 open tournaments in 1968, among which was the French Open, or Roland Garros. RG became the first tennis tournament to offer prize money, the equivalent of $28,000 in today's money to the men's singles champion, to be exact. To put it into perspective, Léolia Jean-Jean made 2.5 times more, $73,000, after losing to Iga Swiatek in the first round of Roland Garros in 2024. Speaking of Swiatek, she and Carlos Alcaraz both walked away with $2.4 million after becoming the 2024 French Open champions. But let's go back to 1968. The first Wimbledon Open invited male and female players to compete for a prize. The men's singles champion walked away with £2,000. The women's champion, Billie Jean King, received less than half of that, £750. The disparity between men's and women's prize winnings continued to increase until 1970, finally reaching an average ratio of 4-to-1. On top of that, there were fewer tournaments organized for women, preventing female pro tennis players from earning a living. That's when Billie Jean King, one of the best women's tennis players at the time, took matters into her own hands. She and 9 other professional tennis players, dubbed the Original 9, made history. I won't bore you with the details, but if you want to learn more about this formative time in women's tennis, watch The Battle of the Sexes. Starring Emma Stone as Billie Jean, The movie is pretty historically accurate and fun to watch. And I'm about to spoil some parts of it. In short, Billie Jean and the original Nine started a public campaign advocating for equal prize winnings for players of both sexes. That led to the United States Lawn Tennis Association denouncing them and the women finding a sponsor for their own tour, which was none other than Virginia Slims. There are many parts of this story that are hard to believe now, and a major sporting event being sponsored by a brand of cigarettes is just one of them. Ah well, people didn't know better back then. Either way, the Virginia Slim circuit proved to be a great success and allowed Billie Jean King to earn $100,000 in just one season, which for a women's tennis player was unheard of. That led to the creation of the Women's Tennis Association, marking the start of equal opportunities for women in tennis. The famous Battle of the Sexes between King and Bobby Riggs, detailed in the aforementioned film, aided the women's campaign. It showed that women in tennis can exhibit admirable effort and fill a stadium on par with men. The battles in women's tennis continue to this day, on and off the court. It took until 2007 for all 4 Grand Slams to offer women and men equal prize money. Venus Williams, a 7 Grand Slam singles and 14 doubles title holder who frankly needs no introduction, used her platform to advocate for the development of the women's game. Her sister Serena Williams, Steffi Graf, Paula Badosa, Maria Sharapova, Martina Navratilova, Caroline Wozniacki, Naomi Osaka, Monica Seles, Chris Everett, Mira Andreeva, Conchita Martinez, and everyone in between have shown the world that women's tennis can be absolutely riveting, tweeners and all, by selling out stadiums and playing fantastic tennis. Many people continue to express concern regarding the differences between the men's and women's game, but no one ever said they had to be the same. Serena Williams put it best: men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost 2 separate sports. Though I'm not quite sure Andy Murray could take 2 sets of Serena in under 10 minutes. The sentiment rings true. The WTA's mission is to empower women on and off the court, ensuring equal opportunities for women in tennis. It is not to compare the men's and women's game. In fact, part of the reason women's tennis often struggles to garner a large audience on air is the same as men's. It's simply not widely available. Tennis Channel, streaming WTA and ATP tournaments live, is only accessible to US residents. Tennis TV only has the rights to stream ATP matches. The WTA has its own WTA TV, but it's not available everywhere either. ESPN owns broadcast rights to the Grand Slams, though you can also watch them live on some television channels and the streaming service like Max available in some countries. In short, there is no one unified platform that streams all matches, from Challengers and Masters 1000s to the Grand Slams and exhibitions. Tennis fans have to be resourceful and find ways to tune into their favorite players' games. To an established lover of the sport, paying for multiple streaming services is not a big problem. The real issue lies within new or potential fans who want to watch live matches but don't know how. Many end up resorting to watching highlights posted on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram Reels. It's close, but it's not the real thing. What do you think about the evolution of women's tennis? Is the sport going to continue growing in popularity with the help of WTA spokespeople and social media coverage? Or will the difficulty of streaming matches live and the rising prices of tournament passes discourage viewers? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, subscribe to the She Plays Middle East for more women's sports coverage.